Episode 1, Nana Osei Tutu. Welcome to the story of the Asante Kingdom in Ghana, West Africa. Today, we celebrate the 25th anniversary of Otumfu Osei Tutu II on the stool as the Asante Hene. But before we celebrate him, let's journey back into history and meet his predecessors. The man said to be the creator of the Asante Empire was born Osei Kofi Tutu Opemsu in around 1660 in the town of Kokofu Anyinam, in the Ashanti region of modern-day Ghana, which was also the hometown of his mother. He was born when his mother was going to visit her husband, Owusu Panyin in Esiase, to give birth to Osei there. But due to not getting to Esiase in time as planned, she gave birth to Osei in Anyinam. He and his mother stayed there for 40 days before they went back to Kwaman. His father was Owusu Panyin, an Akan noble from the Adance area, who was the chief Esiase. His mother, Maanu Kotosi, was from Kokofu, and was the sister of the Hene of the Asante Manso, and later Kwaman, Obiri Yaboa, and his brother, who was either the ruler of the lost Asante city of Asante Mansu, or the ruler of Kwaman, Oti Akenten. It is said that Osei Tutu's mother was barren for many years, and she, her husband, and her brother Obiri Yaboa consulted a powerful and famous shrine called Otutu, whose deity was the deity of the river Kakawere in the land Akuapem, to obtain a blessing so his sister and brother-in-law could have a child, with Kotosi making two promises. 1. She would reward the river's deity if it allowed her to reach home before she gave birth, and 2. She would also show appreciation to the deity if it allowed her to reach home before she gave birth. She fulfilled her promises by naming her child Tutu after the shrine. Due to the matrilineal succession the Akan practiced, it meant that Osei Tutu was to be the heir to the Kwaman throne. Osei Tutu was of the Oyoko Abusua tribe, and Abusua, which, according to legend, was formed from the Ukona Abusua, after a portion of the clan who broke the Ukona Abusua taboo and ate the meat of a buffalo. The people were then referred to as Owekuo, or Oyoko, those who eat buffalo meat. Centralization of power creation of the Sika DWA Kofi. A festive Friday, Fofi, was chosen as the day that all the chiefs would all converge for the gods and ancestors to choose their king from amongst them. They were advised by the great priest Okomfo Anokie to continually fast and pour libation to their ancestors and the gods until the chosen day. So for many days, thousands of men and women of the Amantu nation came to Kwaman, all wearing beads and woven or printed cloths and ornaments of gold and copper and brass. Some wore the well-prepared skins of forest beasts. Some wore kilts of palm leaf fiber. Many brought food and drink, driving in sheep and goats, or carrying sacks of meal and roots, or great calabashes full of palm wine, and gave them to Osei Tutu, who was able in this way to feed all that multitude. The lesser hennes came with their queen mothers, who were delicately marked with fine blue tattooing, so that they were perpetually veiled. The drums sounded all day and all night. Dancers danced, and the dust rose between the thick clay walls of the houses of Kwaman, splendidly decorated with raised patterns, in the great open space where King Osei Tutu sat with counselors and drummers and hornblowers, his executioners and his speakers, who when he wished to speak to the people made themselves his voices. They carried staves of gold and ivory, splendidly carved into animals and fruits and symbols. But the Kwaman Hene Osei Tutu wore the most wonderful golden ornaments. On his fingers were many weighty rings, each made into some figure about which there was a story or saying. His wrists were weighted down by knobbled gold bracelets, so that he must support his hands on the shoulders of his servants. Round his head was a circlet of pure gold, and his sandals were heavy with golden lumps. His chest was bare, so that all could see the strength of his breathing, and round his waist was the cloth woven in thin strips of many colors, which proclaimed him as Amantu Hain, just as the kente worn by his chiefs proclaimed their lineage. His mother Manu also wore gold, but she was old, and her hair gray and lost the beauty of her youth, for she had borne many children. Yet for not her, this great festival would not have been set up. Okomfo Anokie had spoken to them both, the Hene and Queen Mother, in the dark of night. He had spoken of a way of overcoming Denkira, of making the Amantu into a great nation, ruler of all the Akan states, trading with the caravans of the north across Bornu and Kanam, and with the new white-faced strangers who were coming into southern courts near the great ocean. Okomfo Anokie had made a dazzling prophecy of riches and power. Manu had agreed first, then her son. They half knew what was to happen. On the appointed day, under a calm atmosphere, the chiefs converged, and as expected, each was anxiously hoping to be the paramount chief-elect. Osei Tutu took his spot under a kum tree. The great priest Okomfo Anokie appeared amidst drumming and dancing after some magical dances and sacrifices, pausing and then jumping in different directions. Okomfo Anokie began speaking to the Supreme Being, shouting, imploring. The blood of sacrifice steamed up, the drums quickened and quickened. A black cloud seemed to gather. First, a few of the people saw it, then more, then all. It was blacker than a thundercloud, but thunder rumblings came from it. And there came a thick white dust, and then falling slowly, slowly, turning like a seed, came the stool with its base, sending out 3 branches to support the shaped top. It glinted with gold, yet it was not entirely golden. Below the gold it was carved wood. It fell more and more slowly, and at last it came to rest upon Osei Tutu's lap. Osei Tutu was said to be a brave man, but now he was surprised, and he could not put out one hand to touch the thing which had come from deep heaven. But Okomfo Anokie, himself also shaking with effort of the great feat, had made ready elephant hides and cloths and laid them on the ground. He took the golden stool, or Sika Dua Kofi, from the Osei Tutu and set it on the cloths. Then he chose an albino man with white skin, pale eyes, and reddish hair, and sat him down on the stool. He touched this man on the head, and it is said that his body disappeared utterly. His soul is said to have gone into the Sika Dwa Kofi in great honor, and ever since that time, no albino person has been put to death in Asante. Denkirian planning and Team Giakari wasn't staying idle as these events happened. He had his own diviner, who went by the name of Kenyeke. Kenyeke informed Giakari of the steps that in-team Giakari was taking. Giakari ordered Kenyeke to do what was necessary to counter Anokie's magic. The 2 diviners, Anokie and Kenyeke, worked against one another to try and get an advantage for their side over the other. At one point, it is said that Anokie challenged Kenyeke to undo a knot he had tied in an elephant's tusk. Kenyeke returned the favor by challenging Anokie to undo a knot that he had tied in water. The Akim were the only Akan state to outwardly side with the Denkirians against the Asante, so not only shared in the losses, but also brought down upon themselves the wrath of the Asante. 2 years after dealing with the Denkirian army, the Asante military moved on Akim and gained such a decisive victory that the Akim sued for peace. It was granted on the condition that Akim became feudatory to the Asante and paid 2,000 bendas of gold to the Asante, between 887,471 pounds, 1,002,079 pounds in 2023 money, as war indemnity. 2 Akim chiefs, Kakramsi and Ajumako, took fetish and were handed over to the Asante as security for the sum before the Asante army withdrew to Kumase. Osei Kofi Tutu I and his advisor, Okomfo Anokie, forged the Asante Union from a few different Abusua groups who submerged their old rivalries and hatred for the common good, the overthrow of their common oppressor, the Denkira. Skillfully utilizing a combination of spiritual dogma and political skill, and ably supported by military prowess, he tripled the size of the small kingdom of Kumasi, which he had inherited from his uncle Obiri Yaboa, and laid the foundation for the empire of Ashanti in the process. In 1717, Osei Tutu was killed in a war against the Akiem. At the onset of the struggle, he had underestimated the Akiem because they were few in number, going into battle without his usual magical amulets, and even leaving some of his body armor back at Kumasi, his capital. One day, as he was crossing River Pra in a canoe, He was struck by bullets from snipers and sharpshooters who were hiding in the dense tree line. Asante Osei Tutu. I died minutes after being shot. His last words were, "Anka me nim a, if only I knew," an apparent reference to his having underestimated the Akyem. Till the present day, the occupant of the Golden Stool is forbidden to cross River Pra. Legacy Osei Kofi Tutu III and his advisor, Okomfo Anokia, forged the Asante Union from a number of different Abusua groups who submerged their old rivalries and hatred for the common good, the overthrow of their common oppressor, the Denkira. Skillfully utilizing a combination of spiritual dogma and political skill, and ably supported by military prowess, he tripled the size of the small kingdom of Kumasi, which he had inherited from his uncle Obiri Yaboa, and laid the foundation for the empire of Ashanti in the process. A shrine in Anyinam commemorates the birth of Osei Tutu. The village chief told Gus Casely Hayford regarding Osei Tutu, "He was more than a man. He was our messiah, brave, intelligent, someone who through almost force of will forged this country. He built a culture. It did not evolve. It was made by a great man." Moral lesson: a great leader should inspire his people to greatness in all aspects of life, including military, economic, and cultural pursuits. A good leader should also be a patron of the arts, encouraging creativity and innovation among his people. Join me in the next episode as we meet the second Asante king. Let's learn about his reign and the impact he had on the Asante people. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to this series. Thank you.